Thursday, 2019, and I'm calling to order the Ayer Finance Committee meeting. And thank you all for attending. Before we get any further, I would like to admit a faux pas on my part. This says Wednesday, March 7th, and yesterday it said Wednesday, March 6th, and yesterday was correct. Today is not. So I'm gonna request a motion to amend the minutes to have the proper day of the week added, which I will do.
I make a motion that we amend the minutes to read Thursday, March 7th, 2019.
So here's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for your patience. That was an important piece of business. Because I read it and I thought, wait a minute, it can't be Wednesday. So, Tim, thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
As you were here last night, so you got to observe, we kind of like to do the budget in a narrative form instead of going through line items.
Sure.
Because our goal is to understand your rationale behind what you've asked for, and also if there are things that you would like to be able to put in the budget, but because of restrictions, what have you, you can't. We'd like to know what those are so that as we go forward, maybe we can influence and help you get some of the things you think you need. So,
Terrific.
Tim, the floor is yours.
All right. As this was my first budget for the town of Ayer, I was doing my best to follow the guidance of the town manager and sort of would start off with the level funded request. And so the numbers for FY20 are essentially the same as FY19, although I noted in my submission that the wages, the salary number, did not include any sort of cost of living increase. And there is language in the contracts of most of the library employees stipulating a range to be determined when the number is determined, more or less.
COLA's a pretty common thing.
Yeah. And the only other tricky part about the wage number changing is that the library books, AV, and periodicals line, basically library materials, that number will change because there's a statutory requirement for certified libraries that materials line must, at a minimum, equal for us 19% of the overall operating budget. So,
can I ask a question?
Sure.
When you say for us, is that because you're special, or is that because of a general library requirement?
It's the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. They kind of oversee the statutory requirements for certified libraries. So for us, I mean for libraries of our size, population-wise, the population we serve.
Okay. Thank you for the clarity.
Yep. So, so the number there, and that is the base number without the inclusion of the cost of living and whatever adjustment would take place for the materials line. I went ahead and figured out what the budget would look like with a 2% increase for everybody. So that wages number would go up to $392,392. The materials line would go up to $115,400, so $115,400, taking the total up to $607,369.
So, Robert, I'm going to ask you a question if you don't mind. So, the warrant for this town meeting will reflect these changes in the dollars. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So, just through the chair, the cost of living adjustment is done on recommendation, and we anticipate, I'll be going to the board of selectmen on the 19th, that it will be recommended 2%. So it'll be reflected in the materials. That is subject to an affirmative vote by town meeting, and as the FinCom knows, town meeting can't add, but town meeting could reduce it, subtract. But all of the indices that we look at, everything is pointing to a 2%. So to Mr. Silva's point, we will make that adjustment, but it will be reflected in your committee note as well.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate the clarity.
Yeah. So the other lines would essentially stay where they are right now. Services, that's, our maintenance contracts, any sort of repair work over and above the maintenance that we need to do. I think that number is pretty good for what we've been doing over the last few years. Likewise with the sort of office supplies and library supplies numbers, those should be okay for us. And other capital outlay is sort of a $2,000 for replacing staff computers and other electronic equipment that generally wear out after a while. So.
Not the employees' computers, right?
Right.
Although it might be a thing.
You expect, the employees do wear out after a while too, but generally you hope to get a few more years out of them than the electronic equipment. So.
One observation that I just find it an interesting curiosity, that you extracted $6,000 from office supplies and it miraculously appeared under library supplies.
Yes. So in the past, the office supplies line has just been it's been a catch-all for all kinds of stuff. So, the paper goods, the toilet paper, cleaning materials, whatever we needed, general building supplies stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole other category of stuff that is sort of specific to the library itself. So, when we get new books in, most of them have to have a, plastic cover to go on the dust jacket and that sort of thing. All sorts of labeling and stuff like that has to happen. And that stuff, you might not think it, but it's surprisingly expensive. It's just a lot of it is sort of specialty material.
If I can comment, I applaud you for properly budgeting for the use of the money. I think that's a very good thing.
Well, thank you. And I've been thinking more, I'd like to perhaps break down the services line in the future as well, because, I think it'd be better if we knew, the things that we had to pay for. I mean, our utilities come out of that line as well. So, there's a certain amount of money that, we know we're going to have to spend every year. And then over and above that, it's nice to have a little cushion for unexpected repairs and things like that. So,
as the man that runs the library, would it be easier for you or better for you to budget the lines that are explicit for what they are? Because services are not utilities.
Right.
They're utilities.
Right.
And it seems to me, from an overall standpoint of understanding what does it cost to run the library, it would be nice to have maybe a little more breakdown, or probably make your life a little easier.
I agree. No, this budget, these budget lines that that have sort of been in use here are much. I would say they're much simpler. There are many more lines in the Leominster Library budget that I'm more familiar with. I mean, it is a bigger library, but we're spending the money on the same kinds of things. So
it's
we did break it down quite a bit more.
It's just a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So, Robert, pardon me if I ask you a question.
I'm sorry.
Would it be possible for Tim, excuse me, Mark, would it be possible for Tim to request additional budget lines that are more explicit, or is this fixed, this is the one we use, and the bucket has this stuff in it? I'm just curious.
No, it's a good question, and the easy answer is that we can add lines with more detail, and we've had that discussion sort of across the town, and I think Tim and I touched upon it as we move forward. Our goal, which is I believe FinCom's goal as well, is just so it's as clear and as informative as possible. So working with Lisa, we can add lines, we can take away lines, and we're open to any thoughts, as we move forward that your committee may have on that as well. So,
okay. Thank you, Rob.
I'd be all in favor of a little more detail as far as just reporting this stuff and for planning purposes, because I've been going back over the last couple of years just trying to tease out the money that we kind of are committed to, because we generally pay X amount of money every year for gas and that sort of thing, versus there's last year $8,000 was spent on kind of fixing up the parking lot, and that was in the services line. but that's not there every year. And there was, painting done a year before that for another few $1,000s. So it's hard to get a sense of. I mean, we know generally some of our costs, like utilities and that sort of thing, generally creep up every year. So
Well, it seems to me if you have, to me, those are rehabilitation costs, maintenance costs.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do a cost study of what does it cost the town for the infrastructure of which the painting and the parking lot are part of, we wouldn't be able to find out what that is if we don't have some kind of a breakdown.
Right. No, it
And
would
Mark,
be a
I
challenge.
interrupted you, and I'm sorry, so please.
No. You mentioned Lemonster's list.
Yeah.
My question is going to be absolutely. Are they applicable? And if they're, and I would say start with this big list and whittle it down. We don't do that. We don't do that.
Right.
We need this. We need that.
Yeah.
And even if even if we don't use them in an official capacity, you can always use them as a planning a tool also, right?
Yeah.
And if it's a percentage, like the Lemonster is, they use X percent on this item and X percent on this item and X percent on this item, and start that way to, might help also in the planning.
Yeah.
Because it'll be relative, right? If their budget is 3 times what our budget is, it's the percentage is still going to be the same across all the lines.
Right. I mean, yes, more or less. And, just for, just to explain a little bit further, I mean, for my own benefit and for the rest of the library staff, I would like to take that library materials line and just break that down kind of internally so that we know how much, we're committing to each year for, the subscriptions to electronic resources and databases, because those tend to be, fairly expensive. You might spend $1,500, $2,000 a year to maintain access to Ancestry.com, which is a very popular genealogy database. And then obviously we want to be able to break it down between the adult department, the children's department, the teens, so we have a sense of, that there's equitable spending going on, so that we're serving all the age groups that we need to appropriately and that sort of stuff. So
Speaking of Ancestry.com, how much does it cost for the DNA collection pot?
Ouch.
I had to ask that question. I'm sorry for being.
That could be the future capital,
There you go.
Mr. Chairman.
There you
go.
Future
There we go.
capital.
I have another question
Sure.
on services. Do you maintain any contracts for services like
we do.
Bathroom cleaning is on?
Yep,
a contract?
we have a cleaning service. We have a maintenance contract with Johnson Controls for our HVAC. A number of dumpster contract with Waste Management, things like that.
So your facilities contract for your building control is under your guidance and not under facilities? Is that an artifact or is that?
I think that's an artifact. Apparently there's a long history.
Welcome to Ayer.
Yes, well, the library started out as a separate organization, so not officially a town department from the start. And so there are some things that have kind of either remained separate or kind of fallen into sort of a gray area now that, back in the 1890s, sure, it was not a big deal. The board was electing the librarian every year, and
there was a lot less HVAC.
Right, a lot less HVAC, a lot fewer contracts, that sort of thing. And so, as things have gotten more complex, more of these questions have arisen about. Library employees are considered town employees. We are paid by the town. We get all the town benefits. But, where does Kevin Johnston and HR sort of end, and where does the the library board of trustees, which has certain amount of say over benefits and that sort of thing, where does that begin? So those are some things that I have inherited. Robert and I have had some initial conversations about, trying to clarify the gray areas going forward, and I think Cindy Lavin, who's a member of the board, would agree that there are definitely some things that need to be worked out, and those are things that I hope to address with the board going forward.
Well, if there's anything this committee can do to help you, understand that we stand ready to do that.
That's great. Thank you.
If it'll
Thank
make
you
it
very
simpler
much.
for you, we'll be happy to do so.
Wonderful. Well, and I likewise, I will do my best to keep things simple and clear for everybody in town. And if you have any questions about any of this stuff at any time, just let me know. I'd be happy to speak with you about it.
Okay. So would it be fair to go back to what I gave you kind of the preface? Would it be fair to say that one of the things you would like to see going forward in the financial component of your responsibilities is more clarity and more breakout as to where the expenses go and why and so on? Because you can manage it better if you know what they are.
Right. If I know what to expect. Yeah.
Okay.
And I will say that going forward, I would anticipate that much like what the police chief was talking about last night, there will probably be more costs in the future for managing technology. Right now, we do most of that in-house as best we can. We do get some support from our library network. They have staff on hand that can help us, manage the computers and the software that we use to check out materials and request things from other libraries for them. But a lot of the computer management and maintenance, that's stuff that we do in-house now. And I'm going to be looking towards upgrading some of the systems we have. Right now, our Wi-Fi network does not cover the entire building, as not even close in some areas. So that's something you would want to have in your library in the 21st century, I think. So I've been talking with Cindy Knox just to pick her brain a little bit. We're going to sort of work together. She doesn't have the capacity to to take over any of that stuff in the library, but I think between the two of us, we can figure out what needs to be done, and then find someone to provide that service for us at a reasonable rate. So those will be things that I'll be looking to do over the next couple of years, just to upgrade some of our systems so that the folks that come in there can do what they need to do. Good.
Because of your in-house capabilities, is that why there's no specific line item number for the library patron computers? Is that the reason?
Yeah, library patron computers. So that we are permitted to use, I think, up to 11% of the materials budget on replacing, things like the desktop computers that the patrons use, every year. So if we need to, we can take some of that money from that library books line and use them for computers. That's another thing that I'll be working on with Samantha, the assistant director, is just getting a good idea of the technology that we have now, get everything on kind of a replacement schedule so that we know what to expect kind of from year to year when it comes to all right, we've had this computer for 5-6 years now. It's probably time to think about retiring it and upgrading. So.
Or it'll retire itself.
Right. You want to get as much life out of it as you can, obviously, but you don't want to be left in the lurch either.
Right.
So.
Is there any system upgrades or just library enhancements that's built into any of this budget?
System upgrades. So
like the library application upgrades, version upgrades,
Yeah,
those
so-
kinds of things?
Pretty much all of the software and systems that we use for the library operation in terms of handling materials and circulating things, that is all taken care of by our library network, the CW Mars network, or it's taken care of by the Massachusetts Library System we are a member of. So Massachusetts Library System helps, they actually do all of the transportation for moving materials from library to library. And they also provide and support a statewide online catalog so that our patrons can go on. If they can't find it in our network, they can go to this Commonwealth catalog. They can find it in a library like in Newton or Fall River, and they can request it, and it will be delivered here. So
Very good.
And sort out your local website as well for your library?
Yep, yeah. So you can find links to the Commonwealth catalog through our library networks site, which is available through our website.
I guess I was asking, do you guys manage your website, or does
Our website, we have basically a hosting contract with a provider, so they give us the basic. It's supposed to be a fairly easy to maintain site. In fact, you don't really get any access to the actual code. It's all kind of done through a management console, and if there's something specific you need, we can call the provider and they'll tweak it if
It's probably a Wiz interface or something.
it's not the greatest. I mean, that's something that we're going to look at down the road. One of the things I'd like to do is get some feedback from the community about what they think about the services that we're offering now, the website, all that kind of stuff. Where do we want to prioritize?
I volunteer Melinda for that. She's always in on the library website.
Oh, okay.
My girlfriend.
All right. Well, I'll be happy to take any suggestions or comments on any of that stuff.
Gentlemen, you have any other questions for Tim?
I got it sorted out. Good.
Tim, thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thank you very much.
Again, call on us if we can be of any assistance, and we'll be happy to do so.
Great. I will do so.
It's an important service that you guys provide, and we want to make sure that it gets the best that the town can offer it.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's been I've been here just over a week over 6 months now, and
And you're still here.
I'm still here. No,
That's a good thing.
but no, it's been really great.
Good.
Town hall has been very supportive. The staff is wonderful. People are wonderful. The board's been supportive. So yeah,
Well, good.
couldn't ask for a much better situation.
Good.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you,
Stop it in the
board
city.
members, for coming.
Sounds good.
Jeff, you ready to rock and roll?
Yes.
So Jeff Thomas from Parks is now going to speak to us. What we've been doing, Jeff, up to now. Mark and Terry, you haven't met them.
Yes, reconstituted.
Yes, forever. It's a perpetual reconstitution. What we're doing with the departments in discussion of budgets is a little different than in the past. What we would like for you to do, just kind of give us a narrative, if you would, of your budget, the rationale behind it, issues associated with it, and if you would add a little color to maybe things you'd like to be able to put in a budget that currently you can't because of restrictions. Sure. Maybe we can help with some of those things going forward, but the floor is yours. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having me. For those who don't know me and what I do, I spend a lot of time with children in the gym, and I just literally came off the floor, so I apologize for my attire.
All right.
Or any accompanying odor that might come with that. But anyway, so for the Parks Department, we have provided for you, and I assume you have it in front of you, our budget. We were requested to try to keep it a flat line from last year as much as possible. You will see that the notes for the various line items that we did have increases for are minimal. There's one for for the director's wages, which is of course driven by the scale. We also have lifeguard wages and assistant wages. And what we've been doing with those wages is trying to stay consistent with a scale of the minimum wage, which I assume you know just went up $1. So we would like to give our employees $1 raise for that. A part of that is that their current wage is not that much higher than it's $1 more than minimum wage to start. But we just want to keep that scale consistent with what we're doing to maintain competitive hiring processes, particularly with our lifeguards who are required to receive training before they can be hired, which is a costly thing to do too. So those are the three main things that we did. We also asked for an increase in something that's in the others expenses, and we generally had $1,000 for that for just unexpected costs that may come up. We asked that to be bumped to $3,000. And the reason for that was there's a new mandate by the state that's requiring municipalities to have DLS training, which is basically, in layman's terms, OSHA. It's a safety training. So it's something that DPW and our department and the town hall itself, and Robert can attest to this, we're working toward goals to try to get each department up to speed with this. And so we've evaluated what we're going to need to do that, and it's going to be some training that we're going to have our people do, not necessarily sent out for training, but extra hours that either I'm going to be providing or having somebody come in for. Also, some of our equipment will need to be upgraded just for safety's sakes. Like one of our tractors will now need we'll need a roll bar, for example, just something we're going to have to add. And that's where that extra expense came in for that. One thing that we don't have on here is something that just came up, and Robert may be able to speak to this. The selectmen have requested that we upgrade our basketball systems at Sandy Pond. And that was going to be approximately $10,000 to replace the existing side baskets, if you're familiar with that facility. Just a very quick overview of what those baskets are. Those were something that were donated to us from Groton School about 15 years ago. They had a $2 million upgrade to their gym, and they had these portable units, which were basically $15,000 each, that they threw away. So we said, well, we'll find something to do with them. So we just renovated our property down there and decided to put them up in the two outside spots. Now these are indoor pieces of equipment, and the weather over 15 years has put them into a downgraded level. So the selectmen have requested that we put in something more permanent instead. Now the people like those and enjoy those, that we'd like to do that. So they wanted to use $10,000 for that, and I still haven't been away on vacation. So since that decision was made, I didn't know where that funding was thought to come from.
Just gonna
Yeah.
talk it over
Please,
the chair.
join us.
Welcome back, Jeff.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, so as the committee knows, the budget is always a work in progress, and as being a work in progress, it's always subject to some surprises outside.
Fluidity, I think, is the right term.
And this is a pleasant one, so let me just explain. As the committee knows, normally any expenditure over $10,000, and Pat, you know this being on the capital planning committee, would go through the capital planning process. And Jeff has explained the situation down there correctly. The Parks Commission and Jeff did not ask for that as a capital request for this year. They had other requests. And it was not in the operating budget because it's really a capital in nature. So what happens from time to time with the Board of Selectmen and so forth, the request was made by Selectman Hillman, would like to get those basketball, and others would too. So at a recent Selectmen's meeting, it was brought up, because now we're pretty much through the budget process. Make a long story short, a change of that level has to really be done by the board. I don't change midstream. So the board has asked that a warrant article be on the town meeting warrant to raise and appropriate, it's called a raise and appropriate article, $10,000 for this specific purpose. So the money it will not be in the operating budget. You have the capital budget, but will be put forth to town meeting to decide as an independent article for $10,000. And there are a couple options as far as the funding source. If that article passes, you could raise and appropriate it against the tax rate, or more likely probably take it, is the plan is from free cash. And then remember, we have about 900-something thousand certified free cash. So that's where we're at. I think it's a great project. Nobody disagrees.
I agree.
And I'm glad you brought this up, Jeff, because I was going to be sending a memo so that everybody was in the same loop. So
Sure.
that's the plan there. Normally, it would be through the capital request, but it's also something we'd like to get done. I think this.
And we have, you can see the last line item we have is a capital outlay. We've had certain things like if we wanted to get a mower one year for $7,000 instead of going through the capital process for that smaller amount of money, and we've done it right through a one-time item. So I didn't know if that was where this was headed. So this is going to be something else.
It's going to be its own article.
And
It'll be up to the voters at town meeting, so. Through the chair, we'll discuss, you want to be prepared for town meeting. I'm sure there'll be some questions,
right.
So.
Undoubtedly.
Oh,
I like that idea, man. My son
Sure.
been down there many times to play with that.
so you know what? We
Very
want to make them.
convenient.
We want to make them able to be lowered for younger players too. So that's the other thing that makes that convenient. So that is basically where we came up with decisions for the different line items we have. One thing that's come up just this week, and I don't have enough information to properly discuss it, but we have recently completed or are near completion of our open space and recreation plan, a 10-year plan that we have to do every year. And part of that plan includes an evaluation, self-evaluation, but it's done through, you try to find some independent people to help you, for ADA accessibility. For those who have been to Sandy Pond, you know our bathrooms are somewhat archaic, and it's just the nature of the building. That's until we get a new building, which is in our 10-year plan to try to get a new building at some point down there. We can't renovate those to do what we would need to do to make those handicap accessible. So one thing the independent group that went down there and did the evaluation came up with as an idea, and I like it, is to set up a portable toilet, handicap accessible, because that would also fulfill another need that we have, because we don't keep those bathrooms open except during the swim season, and that would allow for year-round toilet access at that facility, because it is a full year facility. We keep it open even though this time of year there's not much you can do, but still for 9 months of the year it would be nice to have a portable toilet available. I don't have the numbers for that, what that would cost. I'm guessing it would be between $1,000 and $2,000 a year for that service. I don't know. I put out, since I got that, I put out there because I wanted to have the figures available to talk to you guys about this, but I don't have any quotes back. It's an interesting business. I've never dealt with it. Apparently there's no website that you go here and it says, this is what you pay for, this is what you get. It's send us your name, we'll give you a quote. So I have my name out there for a number of companies looking for quotes. So that said, we don't necessarily need it for this fiscal year, but it's something that if there was a way for me to get a place mark in there for that as something additional, I would like that. If you're saying what I would like on my wish list, that'd be like the number one thing.
I think that's a very good upgrade. I really do. I would support that 100%.
Is that a, pardon my ignorance also on that, is that a buying of the toilet and contracting out the services for it, or is it renting the toilet, and the renting of the toilet, the services come along with it?
I believe it would be a rental, at least at this point. I'm not too familiar with the ones that you purchase and then you own it and then you do it. All the services that I've inquired with are all rentals. And it's, one day,
Because
a couple days, seasonal. So
It's
seasonal
supposed to be temporary anyway.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So again, that's something that I don't have the price on right now. I'm guessing it's over 1,000. I'm guessing it's under 2,000 annually. But
That's not is it a regulatory requirement to have an ADA?
it's not, because we're grandfathered based on the building we have down there.
Right, okay.
But there's all sorts of ADA requirements for upgrading a building, where if we wanted to do anything with that building, if we wanted to spend a cent municipal fundraising for it, we would then have to make it ADA compliable.
Yep.
Again, you've been there, the only way to make that ADA compliable is to level it and put up a new building.
Start over.
So it just, and we'll have to at some point. But this is a good temporary thing, not just to check off a box to say we've done what we're supposed to do, but because it does give more accessibility to all people for making that a full season thing. So that's something I would like to add to the services. That's where it would be, as under a service line item, I think.
I think I applaud you for considering that. It's a good idea. I would ask the question though, to me, it seems like that would create, I don't want to use the word security, but I'm going to use the word security. Some kind of a security concern to have a porta potty, for want of a better phrase.
No question. And it's the first thing that came to my mind as well, because we do have vandalism issues that do occur at all of our facilities. And while that's been curbed considerably over the last decade or so, because when I first came in, we had wannabe gang members in town, believe it or not, that were tagging all sorts of things, and you probably saw them at some point. That's really been curbed off considerably, but we still have it on occasion. So that would be one of the first places you would expect to find that. So I don't know the best way to guard against that outside of putting a lock on it on certain times, but I wouldn't want to, but maybe we could consider that as well as an evening when we close the facility to lock it.
Well, technology has come a long way, and there are reasonably inexpensive, what I'm going to call Internet of Things, IoT radios, that you could put an alarm system on there inexpensively that could connect directly to the police department with a radio at each end for under $100. And if there was some kind of a disruption at that end, it triggered the sensor, an alarm would go off at the other end.
Interesting.
So that might be something to consider. If you want to get into it, I can help with that as things go forward and your progress goes along, and talk to the chief about it if there was something. Because obviously the receiver would have to be part of the game too. But there's a lot of ways to do that today that didn't exist before. I mean, before you would have had to run a wire, which means you dig a trench, and it's like, okay, I'm going to put a $5,000 alarm on a $50 bill. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But with today's technology, it's easy to do, inexpensive, and it can be. You can install it, or I can install it easy in a matter of minutes.
Wow. So that's certainly a consideration. Another point it's on the wish list, but it's also on the to-do list now. Is this comes from the DPW director? Is that they have now, with a lot of enhancements we've had with the wiring to the town, is that there's going to be more ability to do more security work with cameras and things like that. So we're hoping that will include, and I'm told it does, a plan to work with the Sandy Pond facility to get cameras down there as well, which would certainly be right along the line of what you were suggesting.
Yep.
So that would go a long way with that.
Technology marches forward.
It does. It does. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, vehicle supplies. Do you have a vehicle you have to maintain?
We do. We have a pickup truck, which requires quite a bit. But we have a trailer that falls in that same category. We have had a dump truck, but we are currently without it. And that's the main things for those things. We also often use that line item when we still have money left in it to use for our tractors, which are also considered.
Well, I guess the reason I was asking that because it's zero.
It's zero.
Unless something's happened, unless I get something.
No, for 2019 and 2020, it's definitely $0.
No, I have 1,000.
For vehicle
repair.
Vehicle repair, $1,000. You're looking at.
Oh, it's up at the top. I was looking at
vehicular supplies.
Oh, yeah.
That was a
On the
consolidation
bottom.
from years ago, right?
Oh,
That's what
okay.
that was. By your previous seat holders, they requested that to be consolidated to one line item.
$1,000 adequate.
Is
Isn't that a hand-me-down pickup?
It was bought new in 2006, 2005.
So it's only 12, 14 years old.
Yeah,
it's almost brand new.
Well, it's on our capital. It's on our capital plan for, I believe, either next year or the year after.
I remember that. So.
It's coming, but I'm actually happy with it. We keep good care of it, so that's part of the line item that helps us to do that.
So if you need a dump truck to borrow it from Mark,
we do. We used to. We had for decades done the hand-me-down system from the DPW, and less than, marginal wouldn't be giving it too much credit. It was, the vehicles we were getting were in really rough shape. I mean, not to take too much of your time, but I remember one year was kind of funny that to demonstrate how much they needed a new dump truck, they parked this old clunker out in front of town meeting, so people could walk by it and see this horrible truck. Good for them. And when they got the money,
Good for them.
they gave it to us. That was our new truck, and that was an upgrade for us from what we had. So one man's trash and all that.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, but we kind of after. In my tenure, we've probably gone through 5 dump trucks. So at this point, unless we need something, then we do. And we have a great relationship with DPW for sharing resources. So they often borrow things like we have a truck loader, a leaf sucker, and a number of other implements for our tractors that we use. We let them borrow those. They let us borrow things for what we need for that type of thing. So it's actually been very helpful.
Is your fuel, is that built into another part of the budget?
For fuel, we actually use that for supplies. So we again, based on suggestions by previous members of the finance committee, consolidated that.
Baseball bats too?
It's
zero for
right.
baseball.
And I'm not sure why they haven't cleaned those off the books. After
gotcha.
baseball went
Okay.
private 20 years ago, and then you see the line items down below. That's why those line items were put on there to help those youth organizations when they went private to enhance some of their equipment needs. But it's interesting you brought that point up, because one of the mandates that we do have for all of our programs is that they are self-funded. So that, for example,
That's
the
what I
basketball
was
program, we the shirts we hand out, the basketballs, everything else, that's all part of a budget process where everything pays for itself. For the older kids with the referees, they have to pay a little more because they have to pay for the referees. So all of that should go into, the pay for. It should be self-funded. In any type of startup organizations we have. For example, we're starting a new volleyball program, or we hope to anyway, this spring for, again, I have a 7-item list that I talk to anybody who comes to me, hey, I want to start a field hockey program. And I say, well, here's the things. It's, for the feasibility, you got to do this, you got to do this. And, one of those items is it has to be self-funded. You have to be able to eventually be self-funded. So for this particular thing, we may have some startup costs that have to be recouped after 5 years or so. So that's how we basically build any program we do. That said, we also do, it's not necessarily supplementing, but we work with the various youth groups and community members who want to use the park or use different facilities for different things. And so that cost comes from us to maintain fields, to cut the grass, things like that. So when I say all these programs are self-funded, a soccer program doesn't cut their own grass. We do that for them. So things like that.
I noticed that the building and ground supplies is a $0 has been for the last couple of years.
Again, that's now under supplies.
Okay, so it's all moved into one.
Right. So that big number for the supplies, $11,000, that used to be, basically didn't even exist. So it used to be a various number of line items. So now it's just consolidated into one.
Does that make your life easier?
Not necessarily. I guess it does in a way. I'm a tracker. I like to keep track of things, so I do them anyway. So for me, it's nice to know how much money we're spending on this, that, or the other thing, and that process would allow me to do that a little more concise. But just for budgetary reasons, I guess it makes it easier to just have one pool to go through. But I like to be able to, if somebody, say it's you folks, you want to say, well, how much did you spend on mowing lawns or mower repair, for example, or anything like that, then it's nice to be able to say, well, I spent exactly this much. And the problem is that from year to year, that's going to oscillate quite a bit, and you can come up with a figure after a number of years to come up with something. But then new factors are going to pop in, and those numbers are going to be skewed anyway. So it's kind of hard to say, what that is. So it works for me. It was again a request from the finance committee. I believe it was. I don't know his name. He became a selectman after that.
Scott, but
Actually, it was
No,
before
that's
him.
probably Gillis.
Gillis, it was.
Rick
Wow.
Gillis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
This to me is very much like the Tim that was here before you, and he's got all this stuff in a big pile. And we asked him the same question, and he would prefer that it was broken out because he's like you, he's a tracker. He wants to manage stuff. It seems to me that it's a line item. It doesn't take any more resources, it doesn't take any more computer power, and it gives everybody, I think, better vision into the issues that you have to deal with in managing your business, because this is your business. And if you have this big bucket with a bunch of stuff in it and you got to sort through it, that just doesn't seem, to me, that doesn't seem appropriate. And Rick Gills, by the way, is a very good friend of mine.
Yeah, no, Rick's great.
And I understand why he does this, because he likes to do that kind of stuff, but I don't think it's the right answer, personally.
Yeah. Either works for me. Like I said, it's more about Lisa and the accounting department. And what
You've learned to work with it, so to you, it's not an issue. But to us, and because of the questions we've asked, it's pretty clear that, you know, why is this 0? Oh, it's not 0, it's over here. It's like, well, but it doesn't, I can't tell that it's over there. So, Robert, pardon me for digressing.
No, and not to belabor the point, but also because we've had the same discussion at the BOS, we want the budget also to be as explanatory as possible to the public within reason. And another example, as you are aware, when we get to town meeting, when we get to the omnibus budget, the standard protocol is the moderator reads the lines and then people will say pass, meaning they have a question or comment or they want to come back and talk to it. One of the concerns I've had sometimes with these, even like the personnel line is one giant number, that sometimes you need to have a little bit more detail so people understand, because it just, like if you see a line that says just supplies $6,500, well, okay, what does that mean? So,
Exactly.
So again, as we discussed when Tim was here,
It's
we're on the
granularity.
same page. I'd be interested in some, more suggestions and so forth. The goal is, and as you mentioned, Mark, too, even on the planning phase and so forth, to have the maximum amount of detail. But also, when we get to town meeting and so forth, we can't put everything per se, but I think we can further delineate some key things.
Yeah. I was asking you about the detailed spreadsheets.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't really understand what this means.
Yeah. So,
And it's funny, well, I'm going to digress just a little bit because you said something and it's funny what we pick up on. You said you used the word clean up, and you were talking about the park, and my thought was, who cleans up after the 4th of July event?
That's a good question.
Who pays for that?
That's a good question.
I just curious.
No, it's, if I may, unless you want to take it, Jeff.
No, go
Because
ahead.
so the 4th of July event, which is a great event, it'll be July 6th in the town, is funded from two sources. Town meeting puts forth $10,000, you'll see, for the 4th of July. And then the committee and Alan Benoit from Economic Development, who's been the point person, they raise a lot of money to pay for different things. When the event is over, it's happened in two ways. One, we used to have the DPW cleanup afterwards, and it would come from the DPW budget. The problem is, it's the 4th of July, and a lot of the DPW guys are on vacation or so forth. So we've also, which I greatly appreciate, Jeff's department in the past, the seasonal workers and so forth, they have done it, and we paid for that out of the 4th of July money. So to answer your question, Mark, there's a 4th of July line item that on that budget will say $10,000. There's actually then the private funds which aren't reflected there. Right now, there's $26,000 in the account. Now, they will use that towards various things, but that includes the cleanup.
$26,000 includes cleanup, or just $10,000? Because this $10,000 is broken up into $7,000 and $3,000.
Yeah.
$3,000 is for services.
Yep.
Other.
Yep.
I'm not making. My point is not to make an issue. I was just asking the
Yeah,
question.
no, it's an excellent question. So the simple answer is that the cleanup, the funds to do the cleanup have come from the 4th of July funding.
Okay.
Of which $10,000 every year, and we're appreciative for, has come from town meeting.
Yeah.
And then the rest has been raised. And we've used DPW, it's been a while. We ran into issues with, they're all on vacation and what have you. And Jeff's department, they've done a great job.
I'm good.
And just to give you an idea of the bargain that's ended up being,
Yeah.
it ends up being, we do some that night and then some in the morning. It ends up being about $500, which is pretty reasonable
Yeah.
for that much cleanup. So we've been, and part of that, we benefit from the DPW does give us a lot of resources, including their dump trucks and things like that are on hand and trailers for us to do. So my guys can just get right in there and start blowing, picking up things and doing things. And then just as a point of interest, the cleanup doesn't really end until August because there's a lot of embedded trash, especially from the fireworks themselves in the lower field. That it really just takes the mowers to just get through and clean everything up in the wind and natural things to happen. So we kind of keep on working that through for a while.
And we have a transfer station for disposal.
Okay, good. Thank
How many folks you got working?
We have currently, and it's all seasonal, so it's a question of rehire, but assuming that we're going to rehire everyone from last year, we had 5 members, all part-time, some very part-time, like 5 hours a week, working maintenance, and another approximately 15 waterfront personnel, most of which were lifeguards or swim instructors.
So just mainly you and your assistant? Mainly
Yes,
you?
I'm the only full-time member of the Parks Department. We have, other support staff. I'm grateful that Robert helped us set up for the first time an administrator. It gives us it's 4 hours a month or more. 4 hours a week. Yeah. And it's or 4 hours every 2 weeks. But it's basically for taking minutes and things like that, and just doing things which is just a godsend. So little things like that. For the most part, it's seasonal work. It's all part-time technically, so nobody works more than 20 hours in maintenance. For the lifeguards, they can work 40 hours because that's purely seasonal, and they can work up to 40 hours without accruing benefits. So that's where I'm the only benefited employee of the department. We also have a waterfront director, Heidi Jeniskevich, who been doing a wonderful job of that. And every year, the first thing I just met with her, it's, "Are you coming back?"
Please.
Yeah, it's like, well, no. So we've been very fortunate to have her because she's a nurse and EMT, so she has a lot of professional experience that goes a long way to giving us what we want down there.
Great. Good. Gentlemen, you have any other questions for Jeff? Good, sir. Jeff, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the venue to talk about park things. Once you get me going, I might.
Well, we appreciate it. And you provide
I love it.
the town benefits from having you getting benefits from the town. There you go. Yeah. So it's kind of symbiotic.
I like that.
If there's anything this committee can do to help you, please let us know.
Yeah. The one thing I did mention before about the services, is there a way that I can get that as a placeholder and get back to you what that cost is and add it to the service line item? Is that something that you'd be willing to?
Absolutely.
Okay. So what's the best way for me to do that? Do that through the town manager?
Through Robert or through Carly, I would think.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah,
Or
once
Lisa.
you get all the information, then I will send a transmission to the committee so
Great.
we're all on the same page. But that makes sense.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Excellent.
Well, thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jim. Have a good evening. Good meeting you too.
Thank you. Appreciate the work you guys do. I know it's a grind, especially this time of year.
It's interesting. We get to meet folks like you, and otherwise I probably wouldn't meet a lot
And
of
you get the
people.
best seat in the house for the town meeting. So
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah.
I don't have a tablecloth for my seat, so.
Would you like to? Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Good job, yeah.
There is no other business on the agenda for today, so unless you gentlemen have some business, or Robert, you have some business you'd like to raise, I would entertain a motion to adjourn unless you have some
Just
business.
real 2
Please,
seconds, just sort of
please.
like the
I thought I'd give you
upcoming.
an opportunity. Since
Yes,
you've been sitting
thank
there
you.
patiently.
Thank you. And gentlemen, thank you for all of your time. The feedback has been very positive from departments, have enjoyed continuing to meet and to work with you, myself included. So just a couple of quick as time goes by so fast. So a couple upcoming things. The water and sewer rates, which are set by the Board of Selectmen each year, there'll be a public hearing on April 2nd. It's part of the Selectmen's meeting. So April 2nd, just of interest, will be the water and sewer. They'll set the rates, and Mark is your representative on the rate review committee. So just so you're, and I'm sure he can keep you up to date there. The other thing, as I mentioned, the town meeting warrant is open. That will close. The deadline is Friday, April 12th. It's the deadline for all articles. That's the drop dead date. It's also the deadline from the town clerk for citizens petitions. So as the committee's aware, in Ayer, any citizen with enough signatures, I believe it's 25, can file a citizens petition to town meeting. I will, starting the selectmen's meeting on March 19th, so that's the next time their regular meeting, I will begin to provide them and you with, I call it, the working draft of the warrant. So you'll start, and it will be clearly, just sort of like we do with the budget.
Right.
If there's any questions, let me know. And the plan is for April 16th, that's the Board of Selectmen's second meeting in April, to finalize and approve the warrant. So in the past, many years, we've done a joint meeting. We've had the FinCom come because the FinCom has the authority, as you've seen on the warrant, all of the financial articles. Generally, the sponsor is the Board of Selectmen because they legally control the warrant. But the FinCom there's a line, whether you recommend an article or not recommend an article. And so we'd want to get your input on that. In the past, sometimes we do a joint meeting on the 16th if you want to meet ahead of time. Sometimes the FinCom has decided we just put report at town meeting, and we can talk about that some more, but that's key. And as I mentioned to Pat, as we get closer, May 13th being town meeting, we do want to discuss between Lisa and myself and the FinCom and so forth, how we want to, there's an expectation for a presentation on the budget. Again, we're looking at more of the 50,000-foot view. However, when it opens up to questions, we're prepared for anything, but we'll be interested as to your thoughts as to what do we want to talk about, what don't we want to talk about, and who wants to do what. So we have some time, obviously, on that, but not as much time. So just a snapshot of what's coming up.
Let me ask you a question. From your standpoint, going through the warrants, is it better from the town's acceptance standpoint if we just have an item under each warrant that we approve, disapprove, whatever, instead of doing a separate discussion about the warrants? To me, given the way, from what I've seen in the town meetings, the crisper and the more concise you can be, the better off it is.
Agreed.
So it seems to me that under each warrant, having a line item that says whatever, whatever, is probably a better way to present each article on the warrant than us going through a separate discussion of the articles.
Agreed.
And it just, so that would be my preference.
I agree. I think, and that's always been my goal here, is for us to have a united front.
Yes.
However, under Massachusetts general law and under the town's bylaws, the FinCom does have the authority to not recommend an article. Your position is not to recommend it, or also to present, an alternative scenario. And we haven't had much of that. I agree with you. Where we can be united, I think that's better. So,
I would offer to the committee that on the 16th, when you have your meeting, that we should attend that meeting and have a joint session where we can come up with whatever the scheme.
I think that would work best. I have found. So what we would do that's Tuesday, April 16th at 7, and that's the big item, and it would be first. It'd be a joint meeting of the BOS and the FinCom. We would post it. And then what happens is we just give a very general, and you'll have all of this information way in advance, but just a general overview. And then we actually go through the budget one last time, and you'll have the final version. And we do the same at town meeting. It'll just be with the 6 of you, though. We'll go through and we ask people just say pass, meaning you have a question, we come back to it. If there's no pass, it's pretty straightforward. Go through that. And then the same thing, the warrant articles. There's generally, on average, about 30 to 32 of those. About 20 of them will have financial impacts, and we do the same thing. We go through some of the articles are pretty straightforward housekeeping, and I think that works the best. And then our next piece, which would be with Lisa and I and the FinCom, is figure out what we want to do in terms of the presentation at town meeting on the budget. So everybody will have the warrant, including the omnibus. Lisa has some additional handouts that she does have, and we're open to suggestions. You'll see those ahead of time. But how do we best structure, in a limited amount of time, but to present the sort of overall part of the budget? Because then when they read the article, as I've mentioned, the moderator will read those lines, and then we listen for pass, which means somebody either has a question, a comment, or is in opposition of, and that's their right.
Right.
We take it from there.
From a presentation standpoint, I think it would be important, after we have our meetings and I'll do this, to present to the town that the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee have jointly worked with the department heads, the development of the budget, and in our opinion, we believe that it's in the best financial policy of the citizens of the town of Ayer, and we support it.
Okay. Yeah. And you've got, gentlemen, we have some time, just so we're all, we all are on the same page.
Yes.
That doesn't mean we're always gonna always agree, but so we're all on the same page. And the other thing, as those who've been to town meeting, is you guys are up on the stage with us too, which tends to happen. So you'll have all of this in advance, and any questions, let us know. From time to time, members of town meeting will actually ask. They'll want to hear the FinCom's position on something, even though it may say recommends or what have you. They'll say, somebody will stand up, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to ask members of the FinCom, or through the chair of the FinCom, what are your thoughts on this? So
that happens.
You'll have all of the notes, as they say.
And that's fine. Well, when we had the special town meeting, or the special meeting in the great room to talk about advanced, or the
American Superconductor. Yeah.
That was very much iterative.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very productive that way.
Yeah. One other thing, just so everyone's aware, I know Pat is, because he's on the capital planning committee. So there is going to be a capital exclusion for the replacement of Fire Engine 2. It's a $650,000 item. That will have to pass both the ballot and town meeting. So we'll get you all of that information as well on that. And the key thing on that is just explaining to everybody what it is and what it isn't, meaning the actual exclusion. So.
Right.
But any questions, again, let me know.
Thanks,
It continues to be a pleasure to work with all of you. I just want to give you a snapshot.
Thank you.
And we're here, so anytime, let me know, stop by. Because from now until May 13th, town meeting, it seems like, it's still snow on the ground, but then next thing you know,
boom,
it's here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I extend the same invitation to you, that if there's anything we can do as a committee to help you, let us know, and we'll endeavor to do our best to do so.
All right. And lastly, we're in pretty good shape, so I don't want to jinx us knocking on linoleum in the reserve fund transfer realm as we're approaching the end of the fiscal year. Inevitably, there'll be a few that pop the heads up. There's nothing right now, but I know that we'll keep you posted, because we
can have a special meeting just to deal with that as needed.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
Gentlemen, thank you. Pat, thank you.
Thank you,
All
Rob.
right.
Thank you, Robert.
Now I would entertain a motion to adjourn, unless there's other comments that you guys would like to make.
No, but I would at some point like to get that extra information for us to be able to break out spreadsheets.
There's the man.
Yep, yep.
Russ. Oh, I thought you left.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I will want to talk to Lisa tomorrow, and we'll get you more of that detail. And as I said earlier, we'll have all of that detail for town meeting. The challenge, which I welcome thoughts on, is how can we maximize that detail in the printed warrant? You know what I'm saying? But we'll get you that. And I was noticing through your deliberation tonight, too, there's some old lines that we gotta clean it up, too. So.
I didn't count them. How many lines of detail are there?
Oh, if you, I mean, it depends how specific you want to get. I'll check with Lisa. There's quite a bit. What I was saying, the challenge we have is a spatial challenge on the warrant. And I think in other words, if we put everything in the warrant, it'd be crazy.
Like War and Peace.
Right. We have all of that. Lisa has all of that, meaning, so at town meeting, when Jim Smith or Sally Smith stands up and asks specifically about, the hand soap full, I mean, we have but I think to your discussion, as we're moving forward, I think we can do some more in terms of more detail, even for these discussions.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
some of the ones, like, it's $30,000 for this line item.
Right.
And it essentially says things, right? I mean, what kind of things are we talking about here?
Those are expensive things.
One of the very expensive, well, I know that's not exactly what it is, right? But
One of the things that the BOS the selectmen have been talking about, what we need to change. If you look on, like, some of the general line item, like, it'll say police personnel, and there's this huge number, police personnel, and that's the bottom line number for all of the personnel. But people, and you'll see this at town meeting, because people love to talk about personnel.
Oh, yeah.
So this is gonna save us some work, I think, too, is we need to break that down further. So, okay, if it says police personnel, there's this huge number. Well, this is the chief's salary. This is the patrol, that type of detail.
The lieutenants, the sergeants, the patrol,
Yes.
yeah, that kind of thing.
yeah, so we can break that down.
Let me ask this question. So. I know this is a public meeting, but that personnel line and it has that salary. Do you have to say this is the chief and this is the chief's salary? Can't you just say it includes the chief, this lieutenant, this lieutenant, this lieutenant, this patrolman, this patrolman, this patrolman. So the total is 19, as opposed to having to put out there for everybody's salary.
So to that point, it's a fair point. As we do in the annual report, I change this. We don't, use folks' names and so forth. I mean, but instead of having it say police personal services, I'm using that as an example. Police personal services, 1.3 million. I'm just saying is this big number. So you're sitting at town meeting, okay, police. What we're getting at is I think, which is appropriate for town meeting, is if we break out to show that number, when we say police personnel, it's the chief, the deputy chief, the 4 sergeants, and the 10 patrolmen. So at least now you can see a little bit of a breakdown.
But then off to the side, you're putting the chief. I'm just going to
Yeah.
numbers. $100,000.
Right.
You're going to put that on there?
Well, that's what we're looking to get more detail, because right now you just have this one big number. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a proponent of telling them the number of personnel,
That's what.
not their salaries. Because
Okay. So.
to some extent,
Privacy issue.
you elect a selectman. You have these committees.
Yep.
You have several checks and balances. Is everybody and his brother doesn't have to know what their salary is. They just need to know that we have to fund a police
Yes.
force of 25.
I'm with you. That's why I'm glad we're having this
Oh,
discussion.
yeah,
because what I'm saying, that would be actually a huge step forward. Just what you're saying, Mark, is if it said police personnel services and it's 1 million whatever. but then it showed one chief, one deputy, 4 sergeants. Right, so now people can at least get their mind more around it, because my feeling is you see these huge numbers, like, what is that? And then other things, like you've mentioned, Terry, and tonight, Pat, on other line items besides personnel, where, you know, if it's just this big service number, but in that service number, I'm saying hypothetically, it's like, because we're talking about portable bathrooms or whatever, just adding just another level of detail. I mean, obviously, we are prepared for maximum detail, but I think instead of just having just the general lines, a little bit more definition. So as you're going through it, if you have any questions or any suggestions, let's talk about it, because we're open. Our goal is the same as everybody. Our goal is to have a successful town meeting always, and to have a budget and discussions that are the most informed and clear as possible to everybody. And, you know, sometimes you'll see at town meeting when they do the pass, so he'll start to read these line items, you'll hear inevitably about 20% of the passes, when they come back to it, the question will be, Mr. Marauder, can the number be broken out further? It says personnel, what is that? So I think we would be doing a service on that.
Yeah, if you just present the granularity to begin with.
Right.
I think that's what you're looking for. Without personal identification, just the granularity of what composes this number.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So, and we're gonna, to Terry's point, we'll get the great detail, because I think that's very important for the FinCom, all of that detail, that's needed. And all of that detail will be available in some form for the town meeting discussion. Obviously, to put that all in the warrant would need a bulk rate and probably several mail cars to send it. But let's also, on the materials we're going to use, and we'll do some mock-ups to that point, like what's it going to look like? Because I just think any line that just says personal services and it's this big number, or personnel, this big number.
You're asking for questions.
You're asking for questions, and we can be clearer if you say, okay, well, so that's the police department. I get it, it's the chief, the deputy, or if it's the fire department, it's the chief's secretary, and the 10 firefighters. That's a move in the right direction.
Agreed.
And
John.
No, go ahead.
John, so one of the ones I picked out, right? It's 54,000, right?
Yep.
And it says maintenance agreements.
Right.
What is that?
So here's an example. You see services, 54,000 maintenance agreements. You could put elevator contract, building and grounds, like you talked with the library, build out a little bit more detail. I think that's helpful for the whole discussion.
I agree.
So,
well, I think what it does, Robert, is it provides a comfort level for the community to understand that, okay, these are important things and they constitute this amount of money. Instead of just having this number with one word.
right,
Because that begs to be questioned.
right.
So I think that's a right strategy.
So, and we'll get you we want your full input, suggestions, good, bad, this isn't helpful, this is too much. As we do these mock-ups, get your thought, this is way too confusing, and it's going to remain a work in progress, as we've discussed several times since I've been
May
here.
12th.
Yeah, and then even beyond that, until we get it all perfect.
Is there a rule for the dissemination of the public information? Like, for example, does it have to be in written form? Can it be electronic, or do you have to provide a means where some people don't have the internet, so they're not going to be able to see it electronically, or things like that?
So, in Massachusetts, in town meeting, so the warrant, which you're talking about, you probably have seen it before. We are legally responsible to, and I love this word they use, warn the inhabitants. We are legally responsible to have one document, an official document, which is the warrant, which we mail to all 4,200 households. It's also put on the website. It has to be posted in 6 conspicuous locations in town. that warrant has all of the articles, and it has the omnibus budget, and that meets the standard that any reasonable resident that receives that, okay, understands that this is when the town meeting's going to be. These are the topics that are going to be discussed, and in the case of the budget, these numbers are accurate. So we've met our obligation. Now, at town meetings, you can do all kinds of different presentations, you can have supplemental information and so forth, but that warrant is our legal obligation that is met.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So that without the warrant and it being approved, and yep,
So that's the minimum requirement.
that is the right.
And what we're talking about is going somewhere, because the maximum requirement, or the maximum would be
Full disclosure of everything.
you have several of these kinds of documents with
Yeah.
line items.
So you'll see Lisa roll in about a half hour ahead of time, sometimes an hour. And she has one of those carts. I mean, it's like a wagon.
Yeah.
So we have, including, and Cindy mans all of the IT stuff, we have access to everything. We have everything, but we can't.
Right.
So the warrant is, in our warrant, I would also argue, though not perfect, no towns is, our warrant as it stands goes above and beyond, because we'll have, under each article, there'll be an explanatory note, which will explain it in layman's terms and the cost impact. We just want to tweak up, like on the budget line items, that's what we've been talking about. I think we're in pretty good shape. But but at town meeting, we prepare to the best of our ability, because you never know what the questions are going to be, and that's also why we always have town council there if there's legal questions. So
Absolutely.
yeah, but that's a good good point. But the warrant is the statutory requirement.
But explanation bit underneath it?
Yeah.
That's one of the most important parts of it.
Thanks.
I don't know how many of these things I've read this. I've read this 5 times. I don't understand
I
it.
started that in
that's what that
2011
means.
because before there was nothing. And legally you can put explanatory notes. And again, you probably have read some of these books that have like the footnote is longer than the page. So the key is economy, but explain it to give further level of
I know
explanation.
tremendous difference for me understanding it.
Always a pleasure. I always enjoy our conversation. So again, and feel free to stop by anytime, and we'll keep it going. So
You bet.
thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
All right, thank you.
Oh, one last question.
Yeah.
You want me to lock up or you can do it?
I'll lock up for you
Okay.
guys, so you're good to go. And I will send an email lastly on the name plaques. So if all of you just respond to me and Carly, you'll just hit reply back. You're good to go, Mr.
Yeah, I
Chairman.
think
But
so.
exactly how you want your name. So, well, some people like initials. Some people, I know Selby likes to be called
Selby.
Selby, so whatever, and we'll get those for you, because you should have it for the meeting, but also town meeting.
Thanks.
Thanks,
All
Robert.
right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
I make a motion that we close the meeting, the FinCon meeting, on Thursday, March 7th.
You're suggesting adjournment, are you?
Yes, sir. Is that what I said?
I second
You said close the meeting.
I'll call it adjournment. Yes,
You
sir.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
I hereby adjourn the March 7th, 2019 Air Finance Committee meeting at 7:20 and 35 seconds.